Okay, good morning. You're on to Mamo with Jarvis, and we're on again with our grade 8 mathematics experience. Today we'll be looking at algebra, and the topic for discussion will be called algebraic expressions. You've already done algebra in your grade 7, more or less your GSS 1. So we're building on the knowledge you have acquired in your grade 7. But as a way of recap, maybe we need to understand what is algebra. Algebra simply is a branch of mathematics that is concerned with two important things: known, unknown. Numbers and letters. So algebra essentially is concerned with two important things: the known, numbers, because I can tell the worth of a number. If I say 2, I know I would have to do this. If I say 3, and then unknown, which has to do with what? Letters. Now the unknown are called what? Letters, things I do not know. Okay, so having settled that, the known and the unknown, added to known and unknown will be certain other concepts that are very important. There is something we call the coefficient. I've treated this extensively in my other videos. Coefficient. What is a coefficient? A coefficient is a number that gives us an idea of how many times a letter or an unknown is being added. What that means is this: if I say A, 2A, what this means is that it is what? A plus A. A is added 2 times to get what? 2A. I can also say that it is a number that multiplies the unknown. The number that multiplies the unknown. So an example here could be 1. An example here could be a letter A. And in mathematics, we write this in small letters. So coefficient is a number that gives us an idea of how many times an unknown or a letter is being added. It's different from when we talk about an index. An index gives us an idea of how many times a number or a letter is being multiplied. The key word here is addition. And the key word here is what? Multiplication. So, in index, just to bring it better home, if I have A times A, I'm going to have A squared or A index 2. Just by way of having a recap and to help you to connect one aspect of math to another. But that's not where we're going to. Just wanted you to see the difference as early as possible. Now, we will commence our study of algebra by focusing on what is called expressions. Expressions. In algebra, there are 2 things we look at: algebraic expressions or algebraic equation. An expression is a simple statement, while an equation is a 2-sided statement. So for the purpose of our class today, I will restrict myself to just talking about what? Expression. So the next subheading you're going to see will be what? Algebraic expressions. And the first thing we're going to consider, bridging the gap from your grade 7 to your grade 8, is what I call removing brackets. So I'll just call it case 1. Removing brackets. So removing brackets will be the first thing I'm going to consider. We'll go straight ahead to try to handle problems relating to this. Okay, now the first problem we're going to consider says m plus bracket open, n plus p bracket close. Now, our task is to remove this bracket. Now, the simple rule that applies here is this. If you have a plus sign before the bracket, it does not affect the content. So my next line will simply be this. M plus p. And that solves that. A little word of caution here. Please, anytime you're dealing with expressions, always start by writing your equal to. I notice modern students solving problems don't put equal to. You must put an equal to there. That's what tells us that you are writing an expression. So equal to. What I have here is equal to this. So that solves that problem. Take another. Okay, we go to the next problem that says 3a plus bracket open 2b plus a. We're going to remove these brackets and we have 3a. It's not going to affect this bracket, so we will just write it as it is here. And then the next thing that comes after the bracket is what we call collecting of like terms. Now, collecting of like terms will always occur in algebra. Collecting of like terms will always occur in algebra, and I want to trust that you've already done that very well in your grade 7. So what do? The next thing you do is to arrange this. 3a plus 3a plus a plus 2b. So 3a plus a is like saying 3 oranges plus what? 1 orange, and that will give you what? 4a. So that will be 4 oranges. Is that not? Plus 2b. If you look at my video in grade 7, I use the concept of deceiving your imagination to teach this. That is to say, when I see a, because I'm going to be worried about the letters, I change it to something that I like. Instead of seeing a, I see oranges, I see bananas, I see pineapples, just something to just help your mind to be sweet. And once you see that, you discover that solving a problem, you just be solving it and things will just be happening for you. So in this arrangement, we're to collect like terms, and you see you have 4a plus 2b. Learn something. Every problem we solve in algebra adds something new to us. So you must pay attention to those new things. If you see this, we started by what? Removing brackets. But another idea is added to us. Collecting of like terms. Alright, so we'll go to another one. Okay, a quick reminder here that our official text for this class is our Essential Mathematics Book 2. It's my MAMU certified textbook for my classes. So the questions I'm solving will be drawn from this textbook. As of now, I'm on page 134 looking at exercise 11.1. So you may want to have this book in your collection and use it with me. Thank you. So we'll go back to our problem. And here we have an interesting situation. Now we have a negative before the brackets. As is the case, or has been my tradition with other videos I've made, anytime you see negative, it means that one auntie, as we call it here, or one uncle has come visiting. And there's one thing they know how to do best. They know how to disobey mommy and daddy. Their orders are always against mommy and daddy. So anytime you see negative, auntie has come, uncle has come. So what it means is that it will change the character of the people inside. This one used to behave well, he will now start to misbehave. And this one was misbehaving, will start to behave well. So what will happen is you're going to have 2b minus q plus 3b. So anytime you see a negative before the bracket, pause. Uncle, aunt has visited. I have to be very careful. So with that, once you've taken care of the bracket, the next thing you do is to collect what? Like terms. And when you're collecting like terms, you must consider the sign in front of the term you're collecting. If you look at this, this is 2p. 2p means that it is what? Positive 2p. So I'm going to write 2p. Is there another p? I can see 3p there. So I'll add it. The sign in front of 3p is what? Positive. And then I'll bring this one here, minus q. I deceive my imagination. I have 2p plus 3p. Okay, 2 oranges plus 3 naira plus 2 naira. Very quickly. 5. It's faster because my mind can easily appreciate money. And that'll be what? 5p minus q. And you are done with that. See, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. Okay, let's take one more. Okay, we have another question. We have 10 minus a bracket open 9x minus 8 bracket close plus 12x. I can see a negative before this bracket. Uncle has come again with all his troubles. Okay, Uncle, you have come. I know that things will change in this house. Alright, no problem. This will be equal to 10 minus 9x. This 8 used to behave well. But Uncle is here. Oh, this 8. No, was it behaving well? No, he's misbehaving. Uncle has come. He knows that Uncle does not take nonsense. You have to behave himself. So, with this one, I will then collect like terms. Okay, I can see 10 here. Now, we're going to learn something new. The first term I can see is what? 10. So, I'll write 10. 10 is a number. Can I see another number here? I can see 8. 10. I'm seeing negative 9x here. I'm seeing positive 12x here. I can only give what I have, so maybe I should write what I have first. And then, if I have 12, I cannot think of giving out now. I can give out. So with that, 10 plus 8 is what? 18. You see that even in algebra, we're already doing arithmetic. Because arithmetic is adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, finding square root, as the case may be. So, I have 12 oranges, and someone is asking me to give him 9. Okay, I have 12, I remove 9, that must be 3. So, that will be plus 3x, and that's what the answer will be. So, what have you learned here? You've learned how to open up a bracket when you have a negative sign. You've also learned how to collect like terms. But something interesting here is this. You now have a number. So you add up numbers or subtract numbers as you have learned to do that in arithmetic. So this is what's more like an introduction into, or an overview, better put, an overview of what you need to know about opening of brackets. Now, we'll move into something even more interesting. We are back. Now, we want to consider multiplication of algebraic terms. To do this, we will go back to remind ourselves of a very simple idea we learned in our arithmetic. I've done very extensive videos on this, particularly in my grade 10 class, so you may want to go to my YouTube channel and check out this. But for the purpose of this class, I will just do a quick reminder of that. Now, if I have positive and I multiply another positive, I will get a positive. If I have a positive and I multiply by a negative, I'm going to get a negative. If I have a positive, sorry about that. If I have a negative and I multiply by a positive, I'm going to get a negative. If I have a negative and I multiply by a negative, I'm going to get what? A positive. So what you see here is this. The order in which the positive and the negative occur has nothing to do with the final result. Once you multiply two positives or you multiply two negatives, you must get a positive. If you multiply a negative and a positive in however order you've placed them, your answer must be negative. So this is the basic idea we're going to be using to handle multiplication of algebraic terms. look at question number 1. 10a times 3. We are to multiply the term. 10a is an algebraic term. Look at this. 10a. This is an algebraic term. And this is just an ordinary term or another term. Call it 3. Now, this will mean add 10a 3 times. But that's not the idea we are looking at here now. Look at this. This 10a essentially is what? 10 times a. Are you seeing that? Multiplied by what? 3. So I will have to rearrange this. This will give me what? 10 times 3 times a. Now, in multiplying terms, I can easily multiply numbers. I can easily do what? Multiply numbers. And that will be what? 30 multiplied by a. And that will be 30a. And that gives you your final answer. Alright, we go to the next problem that says negative 4t times 2. Now, in solving this is what I advise my students to do. This is negative. This is positive. My answer must be what? Negative. So I lock that in my head. That my answer must be what? Negative. So I put a negative here. And based on that negative, I start to rearrange. 4 times t times 2. Negative 4 times 2 times t. I treat everything at once. I'm going to get negative 8t. And that solves that problem. Now, the next problem we have is negative 3y times negative 7y. Now, the first thing you must take into consideration is this. My answer must be positive because negative times negative is what? Positive. So, I know my answer has to be positive. So, that will be equal to what? 3 times y times 7 times x. Somebody is wondering, where is the negative gone to? Negative is gone because negative times negative is what? Positive. Now the next thing I do is to arrange this 3 times 7 times x times y. Here you must learn something. When we write our answers in math, we write in the order of the letters of the English alphabet. We write in the order of the letters of the English alphabet. What that means is this. X must come before y. So my answer will be what? 21x y. Not yx. Do you get it? So this is the beautiful thing about maths. We try to take you step by step so that you understand why you're doing certain things and why those things have to be done. Once you get this, the math experience becomes tush. Alright, so that's for example 3. Let's go to example 4. So how do we go about solving this? Quite simple again. Start by putting your equal to sign. Now, negative times negative is what? Positive. So I know my answer must be what? Positive. The next thing I do is to say what? Y squared times x. So I've told you that x must come before y, is that not? So this will now be what? X times y squared, which will be what? X y squared. And that solves that. Now, in considering division of algebraic terms, if I have a positive divided by a positive, it will mean positive over positive, and that is positive. If I have a negative or a positive divided by a negative, it will be what? Positive over negative, which will be what? Negative. If I have a positive, a negative divided by a positive, this will be what? Negative over positive, and the answer will be what? Negative. And finally, if I have a negative divided by a negative, This will give me negative over negative. And negative over negative must give me positive. So you see that from what I have done, the general conclusion is this. Whether you are multiplying or dividing, if you're dealing with two positive signs, you must get positive. A positive and a negative, you must get negative. And a negative and a negative, you must get what? A positive. So please, you need to remember this very well, because they're going to form the basis for your work. Right now, we're looking at case 3 that talks about what? Division of what? Algebraic terms. Okay, now, this negative divided by positive will give me what? Negative. That's the first thing. In solving mathematical problem, try to deal with the sign first. So the sign will be what? Negative. That's what my answer will be. Now look at this. This is 2x. So because I'm just starting the work, I'll just open the bracket and say 2 times x over 2 times y. I just want to do it that way so that you see what's actually happening. Drawing from previous knowledge. Now look at this. These two will cancel these two. Numerator will always cancel denominator in any arithmetic arrangement. So this will give me what? Negative x over y. That's for question number 1 under case 3. Now look at this. This looks a little more demanding, but it's not. Depending on your knowledge, this will be what? Negative divided by positive will be what? Negative. Then I'm going to have 63 times x times y divided by 9 times y. Here, your knowledge of multiplication or your multiplication table plays a very crucial role. What can divide 63? 7. You get 7 when 9 divides that. So 9 divide this, I'll get 1. Into this, I'll get 7. I look at my numerator and my denominator. Y can cancel out. So I'm going to have negative 7 times x, which will be what? Negative 7x as my final answer. So that takes care of example 1 and example 2. We'll try to see if we can do one more question before we go. A problem like that, quite simple. This will now be equal to negative 70a divided by negative 7ab. Is that not? So you must write this question in this format first. Now, negative divided by negative is what? Positive. Now, another student can choose to, from here, write this for me. 70a over 7ab. And you are correct. You didn't write this for me, you wrote this, you are correct. Because I know that negative divided by negative is what? Positive. Now from here, a student can decide to cancel out here. But let's assume you are trying to understand what we're saying. So I'll come here, 70 times a divided by 7 times a times b. So what do I do? 7 can cancel this 70, I'm going to get 10. A can cancel this A, I'm going to get 1 here, and that will be 10 over B. So my answer becomes what? 10 over B. Alright, we're going to pause here in this class because we've done justice to this aspect of maths. Remember that today we're able to cover 2 aspects, or 3, one bordering around the use of brackets, opening up of brackets, whether it's positive or negative, and another bordered around multiplication of algebraic terms or the division of algebraic terms. And we drew from our knowledge of arithmetic the basic ideas of what happens when we multiply positives or negative signs. I will trust that you will go back to your using your textbooks to go over these problems and solve them. I will trust that at the end of this class, we'll be able to do something creative with our time. Thank you for what you've learned today. Mamu with Jarvis will continue. Thank you.